Steve Kerr will not return as the head coach for Team USA. Are you surprised? Maybe, maybe not. Y'all know we're going to talk about it over here on NBA Central, but we got to hit his intro first.
Thank you for tuning in to the number one place for your basketball fix, NBA Central, hosted by the Cognac Boys.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Central. I'm your host here today, Bobby. If you're tuned in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Now it's being reported by Mark Stein that Steve Kerr will not return as the head coach for Team USA, and that Miami head coach Eric Spoelstra and Clippers head coach Ty Lue are now considered to be the front runners to take over, the job. Now, before we bring up and talk about, the criticism that Steve Kerr faced in the 2024 Olympics, it has been reported that Steve Kerr in November already had the plans of saying, "Nah, I'm not coaching past the 2024 Olympics." He also went on to say, and quote, "To me, it's a 2-year, it's a cycle. Pop coached the World Cup in the Olympics. Now it's my turn to pass the baton." I think that's kind of how it should be. Frankly, it's a huge commitment too. I guess I think it was different the last go around with Coach K and Jerry Colangelo when they were really establishing this culture and this system where guys had to commit for a couple years. Made sense for Coach K to stay on, but I think where we are now, one cycle and you move on. End quote. So there's no controversy here. That was always in the plans of Steve Kerr. Now, Steve Kerr did face criticism for his rotations in this 2024 Paris Olympics. More specifically, the focus was on Jason Tatum and how Steve Kerr pretty much in certain games either didn't play him, a lot of minutes or didn't play him at all. And he faced criticism for it. I understand both sides of the argument, but I say, hey, as the head coach, you gotta make a decision and stand on it. And he made that decision and he stood on it and he got the medal. So he faced the criticism, but he ended up eventually capturing the medal. I think the emphasis was just honoring, what I'm saying, KD, LeBron, and Steph, because that was going to be their last pretty much Olympics that they'll ever do. And as some of the guys that have carried the baton for the last decade or so, I guess you show them that, I guess you show them that type of love. I know that still could be an argument for why Jason Tatum should have been in place in most of these games, especially when, a lot of people feel like that he could have provided something else for the squad. But Steve Kerr made that decision and he stood on business. Was it warranted? Hey, I say give him all the criticism that you want. But at the end of the day, he did and he accomplished the ultimate goal of what they set out to do, and that was capturing gold. And you didn't, you can't please everybody on your quest to winning, but when you win, that's how you make a statement and say, hey, I was at least right for this situation. Hey, but I say for Jason Tatum, it's another thing. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're looking at Jason Tatum, this is a huge moment. You know what I'm saying? Constantly sitting on the bench, not getting much time. You know what I'm saying? The cameras all looking at him, showing different faces, different attitudes. And this moment right here, even though it couldn't have been something, a lot of people agree with, this could be something to help Jason Tatum propel himself to that next level. You know what I'm saying? Because this finals run that he had with the Boston Celtics, a lot of people feel like, hey, he kind of disappeared. You got other guys out there saying that he can't elevate himself with top talent or other superstars. He kind of folds or disappears. I say right here is going to be a confidence thing for Jason Tatum. He either going to rise to the occasion or he going to fall. He can very well come out here and have a drop off, you know what I'm saying, with this upcoming season. Or he can simply go out there, put on a damn show, and every time he plays Steve Kerr, show him what he was doing. Show him that he was making a mistake. But hey, now we move on. So it's being reported that head coach Eric Spoelstra and head coach Ty Lue are now being considered for the job. These two gentlemen, they already been a part of the squad for some years now. I believe both of them were announced in 2022, and then they took place and they were on the staff for the team, the 2023 FIBA team. It's where those guys ain't, you know what I'm saying? Those guys wasn't doing too well out there. But nonetheless, both of these guys bring in exceptional head coach experience. Eric Spoelstra, he actually was the head coach of the select team in 2021. So I don't know how they're gonna do this. I believe the decision is in the hands of Grant Hill to decide on what moves need to be made. I know that Grant Hill, he was brought up and he was talked about as well when Jaylen Brown, where is he at? You know what I'm saying? And Grant Hill, made his statements and he stood on that decision. And that's another thing that came up to play during this whole process of where the hell is Jaylen Brown? You know what I mean? So it's some decisions that Grant Hill got to make. Me personally, when you talk about Coach Spo and Ty Lue, you can't go wrong with either one of these candidates, man. When you talk about Eric Spoelstra and Ty Lue, you can't go wrong with either one of these candidates. I believe both of these guys are capable, and they have shown throughout their history that they can get the best out of the talent that's on their team. Ty Lue has been over there with the LA Clippers battling Kawhi Leonard since he got there. You don't know where he's coming to play or not, but he still found himself in the thick of things and, you know what I'm saying, in contending for playoff spots when Kawhi went down. When Paul George and Kawhi was down at the same time, he was still able to find and get the best out of his team. Eric Spoelstra, on the other hand, some people would say there was no way in hell he was supposed to get to that finals. You know what I'm saying? The bubble finals or the one a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? They was like, there was no way. But Eric Spoelstra, he's really like that. Same as Ty Lue. These are two coaches that are really like that. And I think that when you talk about the X's and O's of things, both of these jobs can get it done. Now, I will say, as a personal favorite, I love the out of bound plays that Eric Spoelstra runs after timeouts. I think he draw the plays up with the best of them. And he'll be able to utilize whatever talent he has on the squad, because it's definitely a lot of things you're going to have to consider and a lot of guys that you're going to have to consider, because there's no more LeBron James coming back to the next team. There's no more Kevin Durant coming back to the next team, Steph Curry as well. And I think that both of these guys can utilize their talent. And then I think, you know what I'm saying, I think their rotations will be a little more crisp than Steve Kerr. Not saying that Steve Kerr is a bad coach, because Steve Kerr is an exceptionally great coach. You know what I'm saying? He had his successes and, he had his bumps in the road, but you can't deny what the man has done as a head coach. But I say, when you talk about Eric Spoelstra and Ty Lue, these guys, they're going to be on that same level or possibly even better. You know what I'm saying? I think as, guys, when they come in and they get this experience, especially sitting as assistants behind Steve Kerr, being able to learn from him or reviewing the situation within these 2024 Olympics and saying, hey, this is what I would have done, or this is how I would have approached that. They got to sit front row seats to get that experience. And I think that if you take one of these guys, you can't go wrong. And then who's to say that even though if you promote one of these guys to head coach, that the other guy is still not sticking around just for the sake of they want to bring gold back to the USA. So I say you gotta do what you gotta do. But I think that you can't go wrong with either one of these candidates. So I don't know. If you ask me who I would take Eric Spoelstra. You know what I'm saying? To make him my head coach. I've seen what he was able to do with injury-filled teams, same as Ty Lue. But I think it comes down to the X's and O's standpoint of it. I'm not saying Ty Lue is way behind, but I would say Eric Spoelstra was some of the things that I've seen with him being able to calm guys down and, display his knowledge on the court and the grind that he put in and the fire that he comes out with. He's a little more, you know what I'm saying, a little more fiery than a Ty Lue. I know Ty Lue keep it a buck, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. He one of them cool, calm, reserve mugs that'll tell you how it is in a calm voice. You know what I'm saying? So in reality, you can't go wrong with either one of these. You know what I'm saying? And I think Steve Kerr, he did a solid job. Whether he rubbed people the right way or not, you still got to give him kudos for bringing home the gold. And that's what it was really, really about. Yes, you had to have some Herculean, you know what I'm saying, games from Steph Curry and some really, really consistent games from KD and LeBron. But he was out there coaching. He was the head coach. Just like you give those players the credit, you got to give the head coach some of the credit too, because he was in charge of many of the things that went on the basketball court, especially, on the offensive and the defensive side. So you take it for what it really is, man. You take it for what it really is. And that's what all that matters. You know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Just came in and provide this young, update with what's going on around in the Team USA. So let me know your thoughts and everything down below. Make sure you hit the like button. You subscribe to the channel. If you want to go ahead and send any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, hit us up at NBA Central Pod on all social media platforms and let us know what you're thinking down below. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I already know. Y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.